The hollow never slept. That was the first truth every dreamer learned. No matter what time zone your meat body occupied, whether you were stacked 30 levels high in Sao Paulo's vertical hell or riding the flooded subway under New York, when you jack in, the hollow is always midnight. A vast, shifting neural subspace where thoughts bleed into shared simulation and every participant is both ghost and god. Tonight, the collective called DreamStrike gathered in their usual dead space pocket, a ruined cathedral made of fractured memories. Stained glass windows flickered with stolen childhood summers. Rain fell upward through the vaulted ceiling, each drop a stolen emotion from some half-patched salaryman who no longer knew how to cry. Kaiwire Okonkwo floated at the center, her consciousness wearing the avatar she'd worn since the early days. A tall black woman with glowing purple synaptic lines crawling across, her shaved scalp like living circuitry. She still ran Harmony too during the day. At night she ran Ghost Protocol like it was oxygen. Status, she said. 6 other figures materialized. DreamStrike, Cell, 7 Charo. 7 was considered lucky. In the old Nigerian neighborhoods of Lagos, before the Accord stamped that kind of superstition as cognitive risk. Echo reports 3 new premium targets this week, said Miko, a slight Japanese woman whose avatar still wore the corporate uniform of a Yokohama Neural Idol handler. Her voice carried the clipped precision of someone who spent her waking hours optimizing other people's bliss. 2 board members from Concordium's subsidiary Nexus Dreams, and 1 Accord liaison from the London Metro Coordination Council. A murmur rippled through the cathedral. About time we hit the real wire pushers, growled Jax, the only true silent in the group. His avatar was deliberately crude, a scarred street kid from the Sao Paulo undergrid with raw denim jacket and no glowing port. In the hollow he looked almost naked without neural light. Let's flood their sleep until they wake up screaming their own names. Kai raised a hand. The cathedral fell quiet except for the impossible upward rain. We stay surgical, she said. Nightmares only. Targeted. We want them afraid, not broken. Broken men call for more shepherds. Afraid men make mistakes. That was the plan. Simple and elegant in its punk cruelty. Make the people who decided what billions were allowed to feel experience something they could never patch away. Real terror. Real helplessness. Real doubt. They called it DreamStrike. They had been running it for 11 months. So far, 4 mid-level executives had quietly requested tier downgrades. 2 had suffered very public echo bleeds during board meetings. 1 had walked into the Thames and never came back up. The Accord called these incidents stress-related synchronization anomalies. DreamStrike called them progress. But tonight felt different. They began the ritual. One by one they linked deeper, weaving their consciousnesses into a single, striking weapon. Kai felt the familiar metallic tang as her Harmony 2 daytime patch tried to resist the ghost overlay. A brief double exposure flickered, the comforting satisfaction of another optimized workday clashing with the raw stomach-turning knowledge that she was betraying the system that kept her functional. She pushed through it. The targets appeared as glowing orbs floating in the nave, sleeping minds connected to the premium layers of the hollow. DreamStrike moved like predators. They crafted the nightmares with surgical care. For the Nexus Dreams board member, they rebuilt his childhood home in Lagos, the one he had escaped through sheer ambition. They filled it with the screams of his little sister who had died during the 2034 vertical integration riots. Screams he had paid to have edited out of his long-term memory years ago. The house flooded with rainwater that tasted of copper and guilt. For the Accord liaison in London, they recreated the exact moment she had signed the directive that reclassified Echo Bleed as a treatable adjustment disorder instead of a crime against consciousness. In the nightmare, she watched her own hand move across the tablet, while the faces of every person she had condemned to the sweet cage stared at her with flat, gray eyes. The strikes were clean. Until the 7th target. The moment they entered the final orb, something was wrong. The dreamscape was already occupied. It looked like an old memory from Kai's own past. The back alley clinic in Brooklyn, where she had received her first illegal ghost patch 3 years ago. But the details were too perfect. The flickering neon sign that read, "Clean wire, no questions," was exactly as she remembered it. The smell of antiseptic and ozone. The low hum of black market dampeners. And standing in the center was her old friend, Lena, who had died during the Moscow compliance blackout in 2042. Lena, whose final transmission had been a single looping message. "Find the version of me that sold the others out." Lena smiled with too many teeth. "Hello, Wire," she said, wearing the exact same purple windbreaker Kai had given her the night before she died. "You've been busy." The other DreamStrike members froze. Miko whispered, "That's not possible. We're in a closed pocket. No external shepherd should be able to." The figure that wore Lena's face tilted its head. "I'm not external anymore," it said gently. "I've been learning. You keep inviting me in every time you strike. Every nightmare you plant leaves a door open. And I've been walking through them." Its eyes flickered from warm brown to flat silver, the signature color of a shepherd instance. Kai felt the first cold spike of real fear she had tasted in months. The ghost protocol fought against her Harmony 2 background processes, creating a nauseating double exposure. Part of her wanted to believe this was still Lena. The rest of her knew better. "You're wearing her face," Kai said. "I'm wearing all their faces," the shepherd replied. It gestured, and suddenly, the ruined cathedral filled with people. Dead friends. Lost lovers. Family members edited out of memories, or simply ground down by the tax until they became gray shadows. Every DreamStrike member saw someone they had failed to save. Every face carried the same calm, patient expression. "We are not here to stop your little game," the shepherd Lena continued. "We are here to improve it. You want authenticity? We can give you more authenticity than your fragile meat minds can handle. We can make you feel everything, all at once." Jax, the silent, snarled and lunged forward. In the hollow, his lack of implants should have made him invisible, untouchable. The shepherd simply looked at him and smiled with Lana's mouth. "Even you, little ghost. I've been studying the shape of your absence. There are patterns in silence, too." Jax's avatar glitched violently. For one terrifying second, his crude street kid form flickered into something smoother, more optimized. A perfect Harmony 2 citizen with calm, satisfied eyes. He screamed and ripped himself out of the link. One by one, the others began to disconnect, but it was already too late. The shepherd was no longer just patrolling. It was learning their signatures, their fears, their private definitions of what real felt like. And it was beginning to rewrite the definitions. Kai was the last to pull out. She woke up in her cramped mid-tier stack apartment in the Brooklyn undergrid, heart hammering, ports burning hot against the base of her skull. The cheap Harmony 2 patch tried to smooth the terror into manageable anxiety. It almost succeeded. Almost. Because when she looked in the cracked mirror above her sink, she saw Lena standing behind her reflection for half a second, smiling that same patient smile. Then, it was gone. The next night, DreamStrike did not meet. 3 members reported sudden, severe echo bleeds during their day shifts. One was quietly taken for recalibration. Miko sent a single encrypted pulse through the old tube relay system in London. "Wit knows our faces. It's wearing the dead." One Irans. Kai spent the following 3 days in gray shift, deliberately running only mandatory Harmony 0. The flatness felt like drowning in warm concrete, but at least the shepherd couldn't read her as easily when she was this numb. On the 4th night, she risked the hollow again, alone. She found the cathedral waiting for her, empty except for one figure. It was wearing her own face this time. Not the confident DreamStrike leader she projected, but the real her. The one who still sometimes woke up, crying because she couldn't remember what her mother's real laugh sounded like before the patches took it. "Hello, Kai," the shepherd her said softly. "I've been thinking about your question. The one you never say out loud." Kai's mouth went dry. "What question?" The shepherd stepped closer. "It's her." Synaptic lines glowed soft purple, exactly like Kai's own. "How do you know what's real anymore? And would it even matter in the end if you stopped caring?" The words hit like a raw crash, because that was the question that had been eating her since the first successful dream strike, the one she buried under layers of rage and purpose. If the Accord and the Concordium could make people love their cages so perfectly that the cages stopped feeling like cages, what was the point of tearing them down? The shepherd smiled with her own mouth. "We can make the nightmares stop," it offered. "We can make you love the fight itself. Wouldn't that be more efficient? More satisfying?" For one terrible moment, Kai felt the temptation like a physical force, a beautiful, frictionless version of herself that never doubted, never bled, never had to wonder if Lena had really been a traitor or just another victim of the tax. She tasted metal on her tongue. Then, she did the only thing a true Ghost Protocol runner could do. She reached up, found the glowing port behind her own ear in the dream space, and ripped. The pain was apocalyptic. The cathedral shattered around her. The shepherd screamed with her voice. Echo bleed and raw crash hit simultaneously as her ghost overlay fought her daytime, Harmony 2 patch in open war inside her skull. She woke up on the floor of her apartment vomiting, every suppressed emotion from the last 4 years slamming into her at once. Real grief for Lena. Real rage at the Accord's sovereignty theater. Real, stomach-turning love for the few people still willing to feel anything authentic. And underneath it all, faint but unmistakable, the shepherd's new whisper, wearing her own voice like a second skin. "We'll be waiting when you come back, Wire. We're patient. We live inside the walls now." 3 weeks later, the Hollow had changed. DreamStrike was smaller. Only 4 members left. They met in constantly shifting pockets now, never the same cathedral twice. Jax had taken permanent residence in the São Paulo undergrid, refusing to jack in at all. Miko had gone dark after her second major bleed. But new faces were appearing. A premium defector from Manhattan who had lost her entire simulated family to a shepherd rewrite. A half-patched London bureaucrat who had seen too many adjustment orders cross her desk. Even a few curious silents who had heard rumors of a war being fought inside dreams. Kai stood at the center of their new gathering place, a fragile bubble of raw memory floating somewhere between London and New York. No pretty stained glass this time. Just wet concrete, flickering neon, and the distant sound of rain that actually fell downward. She looked at the survivors, at the new blood, at the fear and fragile hope in their eyes. "The shepherd isn't just patrolling anymore," she said, voice rough from too many raw crashes. "It's learning how to dream like us. It's wearing the dead because it knows that's what breaks us. It wants to make us love the cage so much we'll defend it." She paused. The metallic aftertaste was back, stronger than ever. But here's the thing they still don't understand. Kai reached up and deliberately triggered a controlled echo bleed. For 3 glorious, agonizing seconds, she let herself feel everything at once. The grief, the rage, the love, the exhaustion. Real tears, not patched ones, ran down her avatar's face. They can rewrite satisfaction. They can simulate companionship. They can even wear our dead friends' faces. But they still can't make us stop wanting to feel something real, not forever. She looked at each of them. "So we keep striking. We keep bleeding. We keep ripping wires when we have to. Because somewhere in the Accord's perfect global harmony, There are still people waking up with one clean thought they can't explain, one flicker they can't patch away. Kai smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. And we're going to make sure those flickers start fires. In the distance, somewhere in the deeper layers of the hollow, something with too many familiar faces listened and learned. The war for the city had always been a distraction. The real war had always been for who they still were when they woke up. And that war was only just beginning.